Hello students, I hope you all are doing fine. Well, today we will discuss a new chapter, a new topic, that is Unit 5, Physical Basis of Mental Health. Today we'll touch some points, introduction part, function of central nervous system, the brain, the spinal cord, and stimulation. So if you have a textbook, you can turn to page number 49. Human minds functions with the help of the nervous systems attached to it. The nervous system is divided into central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system. The central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system consists of the the receptors, which includes sense organs like nose, tongue, eye, skin, etc. And the effectors, which are muscles. Through the working of peripheral nervous system, we got sensation, perception, and finally conception. That means the knowledge of outside world enters to us with the help of the sense organs, that is the receptors, and the knowledge is processed by the brain that we conceptualized. According to the theory of psychophysical parallelism, there is an intimate relationship between mind and body. So injury to or disease of a part of the brain produce mental disorder or even loss of consciousness. So some of the influence of bodily conditions of mental process are a matter of common observations. Example, mental stimulation by drinking strong coffee or various effects of alcohol, sedative influence of sleeping drugs are common effects. We also find the advancement of animals in connection with the development of their nervous system. Let me put an example, like when we feel sick, we find difficult to concentrate on our studies. And if we are extremely sick, or if we're extremely sad, we don't feel like hungry or we don't feel like eating food. That means like the body and mind are entirely connected, or there's an intimate relationship between body and mind. So when our mind is not functioning, our body also not functioning well. At the meantime, like when our body is so stressed or extremely stressed, even our mind also got exhausted. Again, let me give you another example. Like you are picking up mobile phone to call a friend of yours. So this action is prompted by memory. Now you can see the bodily aspects as well as the mental aspects in that action. Many of our actions are caused by memories, thoughts, expectations, etc. So on the other hand, many of our bodily actions makes us to think, imagine, feeling pleased or feeling displeased. There are different theories regarding the relation between body and mind. Professor Spinoza, parallelism in its extreme form asserts a strict point-to-point correspondence between mental process and certain group of physical process. So this it means like body and mind both are expressions of God, the ultimate reality, and would move in parallel lines. So, see, the doctrine of interactions coupled assertions of causes and interactions with the denial of parallelism. It is contented by the interactions there that entire certain mental occurrence has no bodily correlative, or that certain characteristic features in conscious life have no parallel in their bodily process. Another Dr. Bernard Hart says no physiologist would consent to admit ideas as active elements in the sequence of changes which takes place in the nervous systems. Professor Dechner says that for all the practical purposes, we may continue to speak of our mental drift as the cause of our physical tears, just as the astronomer does not scrabble to talk with the rest of us about the sunrise and sunset. However, mental process and the central nervous systems are closely related. It has been substantiated by finding physiology, pathology, and anatomy. In psychology, we have to understand the function of the nervous systems. Here is the flowchart showing about nervous system. Nervous systems usually divided into two: central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Under the central nervous system, it is subdivided into brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous systems is subdivided into sensory divisions and motor divisions. Sensory divisions are the effectors or the sense organs which pass information to the brain. And then motor divisions is the muscle part, or which we can say it like the effectors. Again, the motor divisions, it is divided into two: automatic nervous systems, that is involuntary, and somatic nervous systems, that is voluntary. In automatic nervous systems, we don't need an extra energy to put into the actions. Whereas in the somatic nervous systems, we require an energy, or we require an actions to put into it. Again, autonomic nervous systems, it is subdivided into a sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous. Okay. And the sympathetic activities that increases energy consumptions, which require energy to activate it. Whereas in the parasympathetic activities that can and conserve energy, in the parasympathetic, we don't require energies to put into the actions or to, the actions comes instant. Functions of nervous system. The nervous systems has three main functions: sensory input, integrations of data, motor outputs. The sensory inputs is when the body gathers information or data by way of neurons, glia and synapses. These neurons operate on excitations or inhibitions. Their communications with one another determines their functions. The nerve cells are very incised and it's spread all over the body. These nerves conduct impulses from sensory receptors to the brain and spinal cord. The data is then proceeded by the way of integration of data, which occur only in the brain. After the brain has processed the informations, impulses are then contacted from the brain and spinal cord to the muscles and glands, which are called motor output. So a nerve cell, which its brain is named neurons, million of nerve carry the message to the brain, and from the brain through spinal cord to the different part of the sense organs. Central nervous system. Central nervous system is composed of two parts, the brain and the spinal cord. The brain is the body's control center. The central nervous system has various centers located within it that carry out the sensory, motor, and integration of data. These centers can be subdivided to lower centers and higher centers communicating with the brain via the effectors. The brain is very delicate organs lodged inside the cranium of the skull. Brain is the most sophisticated and highly developed part of the nervous systems. It is protected by three coverings: the meninges, outer tough dura mater, and a thin delicate web like a metal arachnoids. Again, the brain consists of three main regions. Forebrain consisting cerebrum and densicephalon. Midbrain, a small tubular part between the fore and the hindbrain. Hindbrain consists of cerebellum, bones, and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum. Cerebellum is the largest part of the brain. It is divided into two parts, the right and the left, called cerebral hemispheres. The other regions, cerebral cortex, contains cell bodies of the nerve cell, and being grayish in color, it is called gray matter. Whereas the inner region is composed of whitish axon fibers, it is called a white matter. Cerebrum is it located at the upper part of the brain, and it controls all the sensories and motor nerves. And some of the cerebral cortex has three main functions. It controls and initiates voluntary muscle contractions. And again, it receives and processes information from sense organs like eyes, ear, nose, etc. Another, it carries out the mental activities of thinking, reasoning, planning, and memorizing, etc. Actually, the cerebrum, all the higher mental activities like thinking, reasoning, judging, or understanding, remembering, is done by this part of the brain. Densicephalon. This is the part of the forebrain lying below the cerebrum. It consists two parts, thalamus. This is an egg-shaped mass of gray matter located in the center below the cerebrum. It is the relay center for sensory impulses like pain, pleasure, etc., going to the cerebrum. Thalamus serve as a connecting center, and all the sensory impulses coming from sense organs pass through it while it going to cerebrum. Hypothalamus. This region, located below thalamus, it controls the motivated behaviors, such as like eating, drinking, and sex. It also serves as a regulation center of body temperature and body fluids. Hypothalamus controls, it is motivated behaviors. It motivates behaviors such as like feeling, eating, or drinking, and it regulates the body temperature. Cerebellum. Cerebellum is a smaller region of brain located at the base and under the cerebellum. Its main function is to keep the body equilibrium, or to maintain the balance of the body and coordinations muscular activities. We are able to stand erect. It is due to the function of the cerebellum. Medulla oblongata. This is the last part of the brain, which is connected to the spinal cord. It serves as a joining link and regulates and control respiration, even digestion and circulation of blood. Its main functions are: it is the center for breathing, coughing, and swelling, etc. It controls heartbeat, movement of alimentary canals, and many other involuntary actions. Spinal cord. Spinal cord extends from medulla of the brain downwards almost the whole length of the backbone. And the spinal cord is under the backbone, and it is highly protected. It is the form of two types of matter, the gray and the white. All the neurons impulses move through spinal cord as it is the channel of communication to and fro. The spinal cord is also responsible for effective reflex actions. As a role, all our motor activities is controlled and directed by cerebellum, but at times of emergency, even the spinal cord direct the motor nerve for action. For example, like we close our eyes when a flight comes to us. That means the impulses will not reach to the cerebellum, but the spinal cord, it responds the action. Functions of spinal cord. It carries out reflexes below the neck. It conducts sensory impulses from skin and muscles to the brain. It conducts motor responses from the brain to the trunk and impulses. Spinal cord is an important appendix of the brain. As far as our daily life is concerned, its functioning is vital. That when a spinal cord does not functioning well, all the impulses will not be reached to the brain, because all the signals will go through spinal cord and will come back to the sense or to the organs through spinal cord. So, for example, like when we see people enduring their backbones in accidents, will get paralyzed. And the passage of nervous impulses does not take place when the backbone is injured. So like in short, like every part of the in short, like every part of the brain has their different roles and their different roles, and they have different contributions for functioning of our body and mind. Stimulation. A stimulus is a change in the environment of nervous tissues which is sufficient to excite it. When neuron is stimulated, a nervous impulses of electrical character is produced. So stimulation does not mean the transmission of energy into the reacting nerve cell. The energy change is content within the neuron, and it is simply released by the dendrites, then it transmitted by the way of the axon. Function of nerves. The nature of nerve impulses is partly electrical, partly chemical, and partly thermal. The nervous section is called the nerve current or nervous impulse because electrochemical waves are produced in the process of nervous actions. The nervous impulses are governed by a number of laws. Some of the laws are like excitability or irritability laws. This is the fundamental character of nerve. Each neuron is excited by its adequate stimulus. The law of conductivity. The neurons conduct the nerve impulse after excitations to the cell body or to the central nervous systems. Refractor period. In conducting the nerve impulse, the neurons get fatigue so that no further stimulus exit it. The law of forward conductions. The course of nervous impulses is from the axon to the dendron of neurons and from the center to some muscles or glands. Reflex arc of the stimulus response mechanisms. There are 5 elements in reflex arc. The first one is the receptive nerve ending, which are situated at the periphery of sense organs. Second element is the afferent or sensory systems, which carries the impulse to the nerve center in the spinal cord or the brain. The third element is the central nervous systems, which consists of the spinal cord and the brain. The fourth element of reflex arc is the efferent or motor nerve, which carries the motor nerve impulse to a muscle or a gland. The last element of reflex is the effectors organs consisting of muscles or glands, which produce movement of secretions. That will be the end of our today. Next class, we will discuss on the peripheral nervous system. Thank you.